Welcome to the Hype Pod, where we have real conversations on business, tech, innovation, and culture trends, all from a faith-filled perspective. I'm your host, Arun Koshi, alongside me, my co-host,
Hello.
Pastor Adam Smallcomb, and today we're joined by Joshua Perry.
JP.
He's an entrepreneur and co-founder of Trust God Bro, a direct-to-consumer brand and global online community sparking conversations about faith. With experience in creative direction, branding, and social media marketing, he is passionate about helping business leaders unlock their creative potential. Welcome to the podcast.
It's great to be here. So good to see you, bud.
How exciting.
Come on.
We've got JP in the house.
JP, I feel like you guys have a deep connection.
We've got a history.
We got to talk about that.
We've got a
first.
history, just a couple of years on the Hype Network together.
Yeah.
Early adopter, came in.
Yeah.
I don't know where we first met. Was it a Hype event or was it an Amen
I think it was Amen 2023.
Yeah.
And it was like my first exposure to like everything about like faith and business. I've never seen those worlds meet.
That's right.
And so, you know, my face during that first Amen conference was like, you know,
what's going on? Exactly.
So, but that was great.
That was
a great
cool.
time.
Did you speak at that one?
I didn't know.
Okay.
But I was just like talking to everyone at that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so I found out about JP and Trust God Bro, the impact, the influence, and I'm like, man, this guy's a marketing genius, branding genius. He's a entrepreneur. He talks the language. He's a man of faith. He aims big. He's got big. It's like my kind of guy. And so really from there, we've just been buddies since.
Yeah. You were a creative director at E2 at the time.
I was, yeah.
How did you find like hype and vibe and all that kind of stuff?
You know, I think it was just like noticing like what's around the area. I mean, during that time was when the conversation started with, me and God in prayer, just like what that transition from working in an organization to then wanting to step out in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And in that season was just trying to find people who could relate to my journey.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I think that's when, you know, Amen conference was really, when I started really taking notice of it.
Yeah.
And so that like really drew me in and just got me connected to this community. So it's been great. Yeah.
That's really cool. I will say that is a very common thing we hear is people that come to Hype Network, it's not something you see in church a lot.
Right.
Like business and church and really trying to amplify both together.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool to hear, you know,
Yeah.
like obviously you're doing it,
Right.
your real life experience, but you've seen this network and this community.
Yeah.
And what it can do.
It's been amazing to see the amount of diversity.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that so many people's backgrounds, their ethnic makeup,
Yep.
to the type of businesses that they're building. I think those perspectives are so unique, and it allows you to kind of see what you're building with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've also been enjoying the most.
Yeah, I love that because I think the uniqueness of Hype Network is it's almost a crowdsourced contribution. You know, I think the traditional church business ministry is you get a pastor up who doesn't know anything about business, but just does a Bible study for business people.
Right.
And it's like, well, how does that apply to my business? Please help me. Whereas what we want to do is pull Christian business people together and help each other.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, because you've got someone at a stage that you're going into, they've been there, or you've actually got someone 3 stages ahead that can give you heads up hacks and, you know, hurdles that they've overcome. And I think it's just in the community of every church is gold. The pastor is not the source of everything. Can I just say that? Maybe we could clip that on YouTube. The pastor is not the source of everything.
Right.
But I think too many pastors take the seat of going, well, I've got to be everything for everyone in every sphere. So they're running the women's ministry and the kids ministry and everything and the business ministry. I think the job of the pastor is to source within the community the experts, put them in a room, help everyone become experts, and sit back and go, that's cool. I love that, you know. And I think that actually takes a secure, probably a secure pastor, but also a secure setting.
Absolutely. Yeah. And every single time that I've been around this community, I just really admired the posture of like, no matter what stage of entrepreneurship someone was at, or ministry or leadership, everyone had a posture of just learning,
100%.
sitting down, hearing each other's stories. And that's what I really enjoy as well. Like that tone is very contagious.
Yeah. Because it could, like, from my perspective, coming from Newcastle, Australia, all right, I grew up in a place called Hillsborough, right? Coming to the Silicon Valley, you're instantly around PhDs, people who engineer, code. I wouldn't even know how to start that stuff. And you could just go, oh my gosh, I am not in Kansas anymore. And then try and do like this pedal intelligence, or get the principle, hey, who's the smartest person in the room? the one who makes sure there's smarter people around you.
Right.
And so that's just kind of the idea, and that humility, I think, allows other people to shine.
Yeah, no, and I think the best part about the founders that do join are the ones that are really looking to share their knowledge. There's a lot of people that are looking to learn, and there's a lot of people looking to share. And I think that comes from like the faith aspect that underlies all of it.
Right.
And so receiving is one thing, but somebody's got to like be sending out this information. A lot of stuff you see in business world is like, I know it, so I'm going to keep it to myself. I don't want to share with you because I want my success to myself. But really, kingdom culture is like, how do we build it up together?
Big time. And that's JP.
And that's JP. And so that's what we're going to go into. I want to hear a little bit more about your story, like your creative journey. How did it start for you? How did you become the creative director of a church?
Right. I did not expect myself to be in ministry. Like, I thought my entire life was going to go one way.
Right.
Like,
male model, obviously.
Yeah, exactly, right. My background is actually in like painting, illustration. Like,
really?
I wanted to be an artist. Like, I thought I was just going to sell paintings in a gallery for the rest of my life. Like, I loved cartoons and comic books. So I looked completely different. I wasn't as, jacked. I had circle glasses. People would call me Harry Potter.
You've had a transformation.
Yeah, transformation. God's had so much favor and grace. And so,
glow up.
Man,
Oh, we could do those cutaways.
Yeah, we're going to have the cutaways. Production team working on it.
Can we edit that in?
We're going to do a glow up.
I don't want people to see that. No, it's fine. You can totally put that on. So I just developed this passion for art.
Nice.
And I think the reason why I loved it was because I felt like I could bring and birth something to the world.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, no one could envision. I had this imagination. And so towards high school, I started to recognize that I was like, you know what, like, I'm gonna go all in on this. I want to be a great artist, but I didn't know like what to really get into, like what industry that I wanted to focus on. And when I was in high school, that's when all the Marvel movies started to pop off and get popular. And I remember sitting in the first. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit just kind of nerd out. Is this okay?
Take make him happy because he's not a Marvel guy, but me,
I've got a tick right now. But I'll get it under control.
So, like, I was sitting in the theater and I saw this scene where like Iron Man just, he puts on this suit, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to create that.
Okay.
And so that just embarked this whole new journey of finding out the type of artists that put themselves in the entertainment industry. And I started to learn about concept art and digital painting.
Wow.
And so I had to make that shift from painting on canvas to then painting on Photoshop.
Wow.
So that was an interesting kind of technical learning curve that I had to get over.
Yeah.
But once I was able to grasp that software, I was able to really like do things that I couldn't do traditionally.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And so I wanted to get into character designing. I loved even like Pixar, which was a different style than live action. Wanted to get into that. And towards the end of high school, I went to a community college. I was still trying to pursue art. I didn't know where to take it. I didn't know how to start or enter into the entertainment industry. And so at that time, I broke up with a relationship at that moment, and I was like, Lord, I'm single. I'm yours. Like, take a hold of my life. Just, completely lead me, God. I'm available. So that's when I met a recruiter at a private art school in Pasadena called Art Center. And so I set up an orientation, and I drove to Art Center, and it's like in the hills of Pasadena. And it was like beautiful. Like, Art Center College of Design's like I personally say it's like the Harvard of art schools.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, you have people in transportation design, environmental design.
This is a well-known school.
It's a very well-established school.
In the artistic
people
world.
who are in the entertainment industry. It's a very renowned school for.
And you're in there.
And I'm in there, and I'm just wanting to apply, right? Like, I'm from Oceanside, San Diego area. So. Like, this is all new to me. And, as a kid, I was never really like smart. I mean, I was an artist, so I was like,
I can draw, I can't count.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And so I was like, oh man, like, God, if I'm gonna pursue this, I want to do it at the best of the best. Like,
the highest level.
Play at the highest level.
Yeah.
And I was just sending out like Hail Mary prayers.
Okay.
They're like, God, just
help me.
Help me. I want to step into this like greatness, and so being exposed to that was so new. And so I worked really hard on my portfolio. I spent months throughout this process. I sent in my application. This was in early 2016. A couple months later, I get a envelope in the mail saying I was accepted to the institution, the private college.
Love it.
And then a couple weeks later after that, they had let me know that they wanted to offer me a full ride scholarship.
Oh, wow.
What did you put in your application?
Yeah. Maybe we should change it on how to do applications.
But that season was wild because I was like kind of tithing for the first time, and I was
that's what it is.
I love that
that's what it that in there. You have no idea how much.
But that's insane,
it's like
no way. I was like, this stuff works. Like, this is insane. And so it was just a huge like. What I felt like at the time was like a David and Goliath moment. I never knew I could take something that on, and just thanking God throughout the whole process. I did not know anyone in LA. Like I had, I was 20 years old at the time.
Right.
All I had was just passion.
And the tithe.
Yeah, 100%. And just like the obedience. But then I look back and I'm like, man, that kind of faith.
Yeah.
That faith, that almost innocent like faith.
But I love that because, it's like, I can talk to people like who are pretty established in their careers.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and talking like, oh, but Pastor, the tithe, that's such a large amount of money.
Yeah.
Is that any different from the 20-year-old who's trying to live on next to nothing, but trusting God with that little bit? And here you are saying, God, can you give me this avenue? But God's wanting to see, can you trust me with your money?
Yeah.
And I do believe it's highly connected.
Yep.
That when you say, God, I'm just going to trust you, let me open the door.
Right.
Because do not despise the day of small beginnings.
Absolutely.
And what God gives you, can you multiply and be trustworthy?
At a certain point, you have to acknowledge that your reality has to come aligned with Scripture, right? Like you have to, you have to take that risk and really, especially when it comes to like finances, right? It's like test the Lord. Test the Lord, and out of that heart, that genuine place of wanting to dream for more, and just doing it from a good place. That's where I was at. And so I just speed things up a little bit, but I moved to LA and I was just exposed to people who were doing things at such a great level, from different majors, people who
at the design school,
a lot of buddies that I know that have graduated from that school are working at like Tesla now. Or they're working at, different great companies. And so, but I was meeting people all over the world, people from Korea, Singapore, all over Europe, and everyone came to the school. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to show these people what San Diego got, I'm going to show them,
I'm in America.
I'm going to do I really apply myself. And so it was kind of the first time that I was starting to get noticed, and that was new for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm a really I can't believe this is happening. I'm here. I'm as talented as I need to be. I'm at the right place. I'm starting to get connected. I'm going to conventions where people who are in the entertainment industry, who are on the team at Marvel Studios designing these characters and environments. Like I'm finally getting to talk to them.
Wow.
I'm showing them my portfolio.
So doors are opening.
And I'm just running, right? Just sheer passion. And I started to put my faith on the back burner.
Okay.
I started to,
The blessings came.
The twist. I hear the tension coming.
Because it's like, I get there, and I'm like, I'm gonna bring Jesus to the entertainment industry, right? Like I promise, like God, if you do this for me, I'm gonna talk about you, to these people, right? Like
But let me get there first, God.
I'm still working on it.
So I get there, and I start noticing this like internal conflict inside.
Wow.
Me. And my brain works is like I'd always had a heart for like just ministry as a whole, being connected with the real world, being connected with people who are experiencing real challenges, right? And I never really wanted to get to a place in my career where I was so was so removed from that reality of what people are going through on a daily basis, whether that's like homelessness or whatever cause, you know, like I knew I wanted to contribute more than just my art to the world or help people do something impactful. And so, you know, I'm pursuing like this whole career, and, you know, not that I'm I don't want to disrespect anyone who's currently in that career, right? And God has given the favor and honor to be in those roles and stuff like that. But like, you spend a lot of time in a different world. You know, you spend a lot of time just creating stuff apart from reality. And I just had this internal conflict. Like, I don't know if this is it. And I went to a Comic-Con, and so like at the Comic-Con, everyone's dressed up, and I was just having this like argument in my head whether or not like this was it. And I just took I took a moment, and I stepped aside, and I just started to cry, because I was like, God, like what's happening in me, right? Like why am I not happy right now? And it was in that moment that the Lord started to reveal to me, like, I'm calling you to something else now. Like, your time here is done. Like you fulfilled the time that I've had you here for. And I'm
so
like,
how did the church open up then?
I just like, I was in my first year, and I
Right.
had a full ride for 4 years.
Oh, so you walked away from money,
Yeah.
scholarship.
Like, yeah. And
dream. I mean, this is what you've been looking forward to.
Forget about the dream. You walked away from money. No.
it's crazy. Like, you know, it's like, how do you explain that to your professors? You know, like, and you build all this equity with professors and students, and then it's like, you know, you have this, you know, deep spiritual experience, and it's like, you know, not everyone's going to understand that. And so the next year rolled around, and I just didn't enroll in my classes, and I dropped out.
Wow.
Dropped out of my dream school. They thought I was crazy.
Wow.
So did you have something lined up?
No,
so
absolutely not.
You just knew God had you called for something else.
It was to a point where I couldn't focus on my like study.
Wow.
Like I couldn't focus on like just getting into my zone and painting, and like it was disrupting everything. And so I dropped out, and that year 2017 is like, that was like the year of the wilderness. I mean, my whole identity was wrapped up in like what I could paint, you know? Like I was like, everything that I was confident in was now almost, it felt like removed in my life.
Wow.
Because I didn't know what I was going to do. Like I literally only knew how to paint.
So you didn't know what God was leading you into. You just knew what he was leading you away from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes that's how God works.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's a step of faith, and you have that, I don't know what it is, but I know what it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that still takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah.
And Pastor Adam, just a question for you. Actually, I've heard this a lot, where it's you pray for these things, right? You said this is a Hail Mary prayer. I want this. This is the thing I want. And you get in it. You get in your blessing, and you're unhappy, and it almost feels like you feel like that is the answered prayer, but that's not actually what you might have been praying for.
Yeah,
Really.
it's so hard to put a formula on God.
Right.
You know, because sometimes you think, okay, God, I want something, but is God going to give you something that's going to corrupt you?
Right.
At the same time, God will give you stuff so that you realize what I wanted was so much lower than what God wanted.
Right.
And yet, how do you formularize God? I don't think you can. You got to let God cook.
Yeah.
You got to let God do his thing.
Right.
And we've just got to like walk obedient
Right.
and hope that we don't try and manipulate the situation to get what we want, and realize, man, I wasted so much time that I could have probably just been obedient with God in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes you might just get stuck in it, being like, this is what I prayed for, so I must need to stay here. Maybe the thoughts that I'm hearing aren't like, I need to step away, and like I'm hearing it wrong. So it's actually like now even more impressed that you're like, you know, this is what God delivered to me. I need to like step in it and stay in it. But no, it was like, I need to step away actually and see what God had for me.
You know, on a side note, I was just like, you know, I journal, I talk to myself, you know, like there's those moments where you're trying to figure things out with the Lord in prayer. And I've come to that realization too. It's like, God's not a formula. He's a father.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you treat him as a father, you're able to receive, and you're not able to have like these unrealistic expectations that if, you know, this is dependent on a series of inputs and I'm going to get a series of outputs like that. There's no way. Like Yeah, you're gonna set
This is a
yourself
creative
up
brain
for
because I see it the
very good.
exact.
Yeah.
That's a creative brain because I see it inputs, outputs. That's all.
Yeah.
Straight inputs, outputs. He's like,
Yeah.
no, you gotta see
No,
it.
you just
I see colors.
Yeah, like that's just that's a
that's
whole
beautiful. I love
another.
that.
Okay, so you're in the wilderness
Yep.
season of your life.
Yeah.
What transpired from there to take you down the ministry
So
avenue?
I was just kind of figuring things out. You know, I got a part-time job. Like I'm at this point.
still in LA?
I had no idea. Yeah, I was in LA, in
Okay.
Pasadena, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I always knew I was interested in business, but I never understood what I was going to use it for. So that always had like a background passion, you know, of mine. And so, but it all changed when my oldest brother, so I'm the youngest of 6.
Okay.
And my oldest brother, he's like 20 years older than me.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
He's
a
like,
lot.
he could be my dad.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
Yeah. Whenever we're in public, I call him dad. So like, yeah.
That must go
Actually,
for well.
not far off because I had Medea when I was 22. So only 2 years difference.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
oh wow.
He could be a dad. Okay.
So I had seen some things online, you know, while I was in art school, but I never really like took the time to like acknowledge them. But I saw some church that he was involved with. So he gives me a call, and this was like a few months after I had already dropped out. He's like, "Hey, like, how are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm not doing so well." And he's like, "How's art school?" And I was like, "I'm not there anymore."
Wow.
You know, I had to catch him up on the whole thing. And so he's like, "That's weird because I had a dream about you, and I felt like you were lost." And so, you know, I'm here helping out, volunteering. We have a church plant here in Elk Grove in Sacramento. Why don't you just come up and visit?
Right.
Just come up and visit. And so towards the end of 2017, you know, I went to go visit my oldest brother, and it was, you know, he kind of showed me Sacramento for the first time. It was a new city. It was just different. And that first Sunday, going to that church, which was a new church plant at the time, you know, I turned to my brother. I'm like, "Oh, what do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I'm the creative director here."
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, like that sounds dumb. Why do you need a creative director for church?" You know, like,
That's your brother.
yeah,
That's dumb.
like I never, you know, I never
Right.
heard of,
Right,
you know,
for church,
that for the,
yeah.
you know, like my whole, I grew up like in the church. You know, my mom would take me and my brother to church all
Sure.
the time, but I never understood, like how ministry works and all that
right,
stuff.
right.
And so that was like my first exposure. And so that, you know, E2 Church was such a transformational church for me, because I got to be exposed to.
This is in
ministry.
2019?
This is towards the end of 2017.
Got it.
Yeah.
What does E2 stand for?
Ephesians 2.
Ephesians 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ephesians 2.
Okay.
Made alive in Christ.
But it's in Elk Grove at the time.
Elk Grove.
Yep.
It's in like year 2 at the time.
Yep.
And so I really get to learn what my brother does. And at this point, I only knew how to paint, right? Like I had this artistic eye, and I knew that was applicable to other creative skill sets.
Yep.
And I remember so vividly, I saw a camera just kind of sitting on a like production tote bag kind of thing, because it was set up in tear down church.
Yeah.
Like every single weekend, you know, they'd come out in U-Hauls and unload, and it was at a community college. And so that was like the whole church planning, you know, process. I mean, I'm sure y'all.
Yep.
Oh, I know about it. Yeah.
And so
You're hitting my other triggers. Marvel and U-Hauls.
Bump out. No, no more. No more.
sorry.
Yeah.
And so, and I just asked myself, what if, right? Like, what if this is the next thing?
Very
Right? Like, what if
powerful
I
words.
put myself out of my comfort zone
Yeah.
and I grab hold of something that I didn't expect? But
Great question.
man, I just threw myself at it. I started to learn photography.
So you moved to Sac.
So I just moved to
Wow.
Sacramento.
Wow,
I just
okay.
dropped it. You know, I was like, well,
Boom.
I'm not going to, you know,
Yep.
college.
Yep.
You know, just passion started to fade. And I was like, you know what? Like,
And you were
let's
just
go.
volunteering.
I was just volunteering at the time. And so that was my first exposure to leadership,
Yep.
ministry,
Yep.
you know, and all those opportunities to volunteer at a church plant, you know, photography, design,
so much
social
opportunity.
media, and just, again, throwing myself at all of these things to be helpful. And Pastor Jared was extremely, like, he transformed my life at the time,
So
right?
good,
Like he was hard on me.
Good.
Right? Like he saw a lot of the things that needed to be corrected.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges I had to overcome was not just settling to become a technician, but a manager and a leader of people.
Wow.
Right?
Very
And
good.
letting go
Very
of the
good.
work and welcoming and making space as a leader for people to come on and serve the ultimate vision
Very
of the
good.
ministry. And so, you know, Pastor Q and all of those leaders really poured into me, being committed to serve year after year. And then eventually in 2020, which again, we all know how that happened, but they brought me on staff as creative director.
Oh,
and so at the time we were able to build
You took your brother's
Yeah,
job.
so you called it W, took his job.
So it was sweet, you know. It was like it was this nice kind of transitional moment,
That's
you know,
cool,
and just kind of set me up, and it was amazing.
Very nice.
But ministry as a whole, that's where I got to learn about people,
Yeah.
right? Like that's where I got to learn about the Lord's work, the local church. I mean, you're seeing decisions being made every single weekend, baptisms, stories. I reflect that time in my life, and I think that's when the Lord really developed my heart for just people, right? To be helpful and expand. And so above all of those experiences, you know, I've gotten to lead the leadership development programs at the church, preach a couple times, and again, that whole process of growth was really setting me up for my current season right now as an entrepreneur.
Yep.
So we did that for 3 years. And in 2021, kind of diving into the Trust God Bro side of things and how that started. In 2021, I met my business partner, Brandon McFarland.
He's a legend.
And legend, OG.
Great guy.
Man
of God.
Like world-class thinker, creator. And so I met him and we just hit it off. And I was like, hey, like, you know, at the time he had built this platform called Trust God Bro. And at the time it was like only 3 million followers. But he had started, you know, and he has this whole entire backstory as well, how that platform started, which is amazing. But by the time we had met, we started to really talk about like where he wanted to take it, because he had this massive platform, but he didn't have an offer being given to anyone, you know? And so I was like, hey, like, what's on your heart? And you know, we talk about it to this day. You know, we met at a coffee shop. And I was like, what are the things that you want to build out? And it was really three things that till this day we are continuing to build out, which is the overall ministry, merch, and music. And so, you know, he had this like logo that he designed on an app. And I'm like, well, if you want to do merch, why don't we just take this logo that's been your profile picture for, you know, 7+ years? Because people are familiar, you know, you built so much brand equity with it. You know, so I'm coming in with this like mind of branding and marketing, you know, and coming in with this like opportunity and this potential to build something. And so, you know, we launched apparel, and it was like, it was very basic, right? It was almost like a print on demand kind of concept, but just test out the viability of the business, see if there was a demand. And so, and there was. And
Amazing.
I was like,
what do you think it was about the Trust God Bro brand that got so viral and took off? Because I mean, the concept is pretty basic. I don't know if everybody knows. I'm sure they do, but it's just, you know, some scriptures, pretty standard posts, and if anything, it wasn't like an over lavish artwork. It was simplistic, but it kind of just hit a season of maybe the world.
Right.
What were the components from your mind?
I think what made Brandon, what an attribute of his leadership that I think it's very important to acknowledge is like, he's a futurist, right? And so like in 2013, when people were using Instagram to post their food, you know, at lunch, he was posting quotes. So he was so early in the game to use that type of content to minister to people, right? Like people were just figuring out how to minister to others on social media, right? Like that, even that was a whole new concept in of itself. And so he was just so early to that that really set him up to build up the audience and the community that he did at the time. And so, and then again, till this day, it just continues to grow more and more. Yeah.
And where's the platform at now as far as followership?
It's around over 12 million followers across all different digital platforms. So like Facebook, Twitter, X, all that stuff. The Instagram right now stands at about 7.9 million followers.
Wow.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's it?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Just a little 3X? Yeah.
So right now we have a fantastic team.
Great platform, great influence.
Great like team. Brandon, CEO, his wife, and a fantastic I call him the ninja.
Yep.
He's a fantastic operations manager. I mean, he's been able to streamline a lot of the logistics for our, direct-to-consumer brand right now.
That's so good.
The apparel side.
Okay, I want to touch on the social media side of things, because to go from obviously 3 million, you have a brand, but to grow it, growth is like the number one thing that you're trying to do. What do you understand about the social media space, where it was then and where it is now, and how do you really grow in this space?
Yeah, I think it's constantly
we're learning.
It's constantly changing.
It is, right?
3 months
like
at this
with
point.
algorithms, models,
content.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where these social media platforms are going to reward you for the type of creative input that you put in it, right? And so I think what's changing right now is how people are consuming this content. They're looking at so much creative, they're looking at so many different types of creative formats.
Yep.
And things get more interesting. And what we feel like is happening right now is people are tuning in and following creators or businesses similar to how they watch a Netflix show. And so as I'm seeing it from my background as a creative director, I know that there's also this side of social media where it's like anyone can pick up an iPhone and speak, and that's that whole side of things. But then I also think that like some of these more advanced concepts of art direction, camera work, all of these things are also starting to play a big role in how you build a platform, depending on the type of creator you want to be. But right now it's just constantly changing. What people have gone viral for, the trends that they've gone viral for, maybe they built their account off of a trend, and because that trend died, everything else they do doesn't hit. So so
you've got to evolve in the branding world.
Yeah, and if you've been able to be like somebody like Trust God, bro, you've trained your algorithm for that type of creative format. And so that's what is able to keep the platform growing the way that it is. But for people who are just starting out, it's constant testing what works and stuff like that.
So for you guys, what was it specifically that you guys were able to? Was it influencer marketing, or what was the key concepts that allowed you guys to kind of succeed in this space?
I think it's just consistency.
Oh, that's a big one.
Because with Brandon and he has his whole thought process and an explanation for how he kind of approaches. But from being able to learn about what he does, he didn't use any third-party scheduling apps, right? It's all manual posting. He kept a pulse of all the trends throughout the years, throughout the decades. Ultimately, that consistency was able to feed and reach people in so many different spaces, from professional sports to celebrities, like really, really big names coming across the page. And I think what's also great is it wasn't overly branded.
Right. I think when it comes to social media, it's fascinating to me how, people want to, run, stats, insights, time of the day to post, that kind of stuff. I think it all comes down to one basic principle, that if it's not interesting, it's not going to get engagement. Like, is this interesting? Is this like engage? Is it interesting from a basic level? And if you're not getting engagement, that should maybe tell you what you're doing is not interesting. So, and I think that's why yourself, Trust God Bro, has really been able to continue to grow, is it's interesting. Even though the algorithms have changed and all the way people consume things have changed, you've stayed consistent, but you're continually delivering interesting stuff.
It's fascinating. What are some of the things that you've seen on your end?
I've been trying to figure this out, because actually the consistency of it is what I think is most important, because you just don't know what will capture your audience yet
Right.
until you put it out there. So you just have to keep putting content out there. And then kind of what you're saying, it's like you have to put your ear to the ground and stay kind of aware of what trends are happening, what are people how are they responding to your content, but you just might not know what might go viral, and so you just constantly keep putting out content. And I think the one thing that's starting to shift is people are looking for authenticity.
Right.
And so I think it's like, how did you find that level of authenticity in a world where it's just like, I can just pump out content as much as possible?
You know, it's even within the last year. I think right now we live in a generational run right now where you can get free attention.
Yeah.
Right. And the
everybody wants
content,
it.
dude. You know,
they all want it.
And it's like, it's even getting more competitive now in the sense where I personally believe this window won't last for everyone being able to do social media as a content creator. The problem right now is that like everyone looks like one character.
That's
that
true.
floating head in the car, you know, kind of concept, and that's one creative format, right? And so the how people start social media is going to get way more difficult as the months go on, because again, these creative formats are starting to look very similar. When people are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, they're looking at subconsciously the same character, right? And the same kind of composition and things like that. So where I've seen creators really excel are the ones that continue to innovate creative formats, meaning like formats as in like a skit, right? Or, you know, a selfie video, or, you know, a high quality B-roll video of, you know, from a camera, cinematic footage, right? Like those are different creative formats that different, you know, accounts use to really try to grow their brand. And so, yeah, I think that's also interesting to see.
Yeah. I don't know if you follow kind of like the live streaming, like the Twitch, YouTube streaming, all that kind of content.
Religiously.
Yeah. No, I was about to say. But it feels like that generation that's coming up is finding this idea of, I'll just stream my entire life, but then while I'm doing that, I'll clip farm. So I'll do things that seem like it's very authentic in my day-to-day.
This is the craziest thing for me is the streamer economy.
Oh, yeah.
That there are people who are just non-stop streaming their life.
Like
I mean, people like
24/7
Speed, all these
sleeping.
kinds of
Yeah.
Like, how pathetic, in my opinion, is your life if you're watching that? Like, like you're in... What's the NPC? NPC. Like you're just making up numbers if that's you're watching somebody live their life. That would make me so depressed.
Right. But I feel like we should look at why. Why are people searching for that content specifically? And I'm actually curious because I think it can show us where we need to go with our content.
Why do you think that is? Like, is this like the modern day Big Brother or something like that? You're actually watching somebody live their life.
It basically is modern day reality TV. But I was curious what you think.
JP?
I don't know, man. I mean, this
is your world, bro.
It's like people consume, you know, short form content. Vastly different from how they consume long form content.
Right.
And I think there's something about being able to have like an inner, you know, look at someone's life. You know, like that whole streaming world. That is a whole other world of content creation in of itself. And that I think obviously like being able to have a personality that can carry a long form content type of piece like that, I think it's also generational too, right? Like different people of different ages are tuning in with different types of content formats. It's interesting to see. I think like the people are tuning in to short form content, TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. And I think if it's not purely educational or entertaining, they don't want to listen to it, you know? And I think YouTube is very value driven at the same time though. I think people expect to receive value from YouTube as well. And so I think if anyone's trying to break out into the content game, even myself, I've been wanting to challenge myself to put my personal brand out there and explore platforms, and it's been fun. It's been fun yapping, you know, on TikTok.
I think that sort of stuff is fun. The streaming thing for me though is like WWE. You know, it's like someone pretending to live their life, but they're entertaining you.
Right.
But they're not really living their life. But you're watching someone live their life. That's not really they're doing the pretend here, and we're all playing along.
Yeah, it's all a show, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's all a show.
It's all a show,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, is that entertainment? Because I feel like it's got to be interesting, entertaining, or informative, right? For content. And anything outside of that, does that just sit in the entertainment? Like, I am
Right.
bored with films. I just want to watch someone online.
Right.
Yeah. I will give you my take on this.
Yeah, give
because
us your take.
Help
me.
I think when I first joined Vibe, one of the coolest things about Vibe was the quality of content that was generated here. Everything was like with the highest quality, the highest level of like skill. And I always thought, like, why is it only that we just post content on Sundays, like just sermon content? Like, you have all these people who are so talented, they have their own lives, and they're figuring things out, and they can create this content and put it out there. Why are we not in all of the different spaces, like in sports, in like, you know, whatever, get ready with me makeup videos, or like, you know, gym videos?
Right.
Like, why is there not like somebody of the faith that's leading those kind of content, and then creating this IRL content or streaming content where it's faith driven, but it's not a sermon, right? It's like people with good values and it's pushing out there. And so I try to think of like, what are people drawn to? It's that you can be seeing somebody living their life, but you get immediate access to chat with them directly. And I think it's that live chat that has changed the game.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm watching Big Brother, like you mentioned, and it's just there, and then I'm thinking about it in like some like parasocial way where I see it through the screen, but I have no interaction with it. Where you have direct interaction with these content creators, where real time while they're doing stuff, you're interacting with them and they're interacting back with you, and they change what they're doing based on your interaction. I think that's like
I think it's its own way of community building online.
Yes,
right?
community building. It really
Community
is.
building.
Yeah. These communities are hardcore. Like, when they find a personality that they trust and they build this community with, I mean, it's churches are doing, but it's like in this unique space.
Right.
Really
it's wild.
interesting.
I think I've also seen the churches that I've seen really excel in social media see it as modern media, not traditional media, right? So their approach to social media is grounded in being able to create optimized content for social media that is connective, personable, and again, just really being a student for the type of content format that's going to work. And so, being able to have ways that people connect with content without having to necessarily promote your brand, but having a, you know, that spin on that, I think it's
Yeah, how we found people connect with, like, because you were doing social media, kind of leading all creative at church. How do you find people connect with the content that you were pushing out for church versus the content you're pushing out for Trust God? But they're both in the faith space, but it's like one is directly connected to a church and one is, you know, associated with, you know, the big G kind of God brand, right? So,
The big G.
I think like there's content for like the global church community and content for your local church community, right? And the content that you produce as a local church will be relevant for your local church. And to be able to branch out and look and see what's also performing on these platforms that may relate to the general Christian lifestyle experience, and creating and leveraging your creative team, you know, in your local church to reflect those lifestyle experiences online can be more relevant to people who aren't part of your community. And so things that like, from everyday like experiences that we all like go through as, you know, as Christians, I think there's also this side of being able to branch out beyond promoting and promotional content that I think churches are finding very successful for their accounts too.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the advertisement day has to be over. Like, we're just running ads. It's got to be, I think, in the world of church, it's got to be how do we deliver good content in this short platform? It's a different style of content delivery. One of the things I like is not giving the whole conclusion, but just a lead in to find out more. Is always a good way. Okay, but talk to us quickly. Is that okay? If I
go, please,
ask
please.
a question?
Yes, please.
Okay, JP, in the entrepreneurial sense, you're an entrepreneur. You always got business ideas. What are you working on at the moment?
Right now, the thing that has transformed the way that I even look at our own business is heavily influenced by Alex Hormozy.
Okay.
And his whole approach to business.
Okay.
Wait, tell the audience a little bit
So
more about
Alex
that.
Hormozy is, I personally think, is at the top of the game when it comes to online business personalities.
Okay.
I think his content, his material is no fluff, down, very tactical, very simple to implement.
Yep.
And so the way that he is able to articulate business and how I've been able to adopt those concepts has been transformative.
Wow.
His whole premise is create an offer no matter the type of business that you're in, whether you're in software, information, product-based business, or service-based business. Offer something so good that it would be dumb to say no to.
Yeah.
Right? And so with that concept in mind, in our current business, our number one offer right now that is it's really trending and working well for our business is our performance hats. And so we have, in a way, positioned this performance hat. Are you familiar with the brand Melon?
Yes. Yeah.
We are
the
like
one that, like the waterproof cap, that kind of stuff.
We are like positioned as like the faith-based alternative to Melon.
Okay, right.
And so we're tapping into an audience of men from 30 to 55 right now.
Oh, that's
like
all
the
guys.
blue collar. Yeah.
I'm right in the middle of that.
Shopping for one right now.
Between 30 and 55 and 45. It's right in the middle. Okay. Yep. So marketing to me.
Yeah. And so we are able to really scale well with this offer. And when it comes to direct-to-consumer brands, it's really about scaling that one offer.
But can I just say that market is such a smart market because it's actually a market that has money. I think so much is marketed to Gen Z,
Right.
and Gen Z need free.
Right.
They're not looking for spend; they're looking for free. And unlocking the market of the 35 to 55, so smart.
Yeah. Everyone's, going towards Gen Z, right? Like
Right.
in the box tees and in the streetwears.
Always.
And we're like
Why?
doing that stuff, right?
Yeah, they
but
can't
there's
afford
this
that unless dad
underserved.
buys it.
Yeah, there's this overpriced.
But dad does buy a lot of those things
Yeah.
for his daughters. I've heard.
That's the market. It's the market.
There's this like underserved community.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
for
I've been
sure.
waiting for something,
Yeah.
and now I finally get to kind of experience something that reflects
love
my
that.
faith,
Yeah.
right?
So I will counter one point to the Gen Z.
Yeah.
The Gen Zers are the ones that are pushing content out there, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones that once they do get your brand, they're posting it on all their socials and all their
Right.
content, and that micro influencer kind
Right.
of marketing is what you're looking for. I don't know how many of us, 35 to 55-year-olds are like posting our content
Right.
out there. There are, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
maybe that's why they're going for it. I
So
don't know, maybe.
crafting offers is
Yeah.
what I'm like obsessed with right now.
Okay.
So his latest book, $100 Million Money Models, is
Okay.
fantastic. Please go check it out.
Done.
It's on Amazon.
Done.
I'm reading it.
So he goes over 4 different types of offers that we're implementing right now as a business. Your attraction offer.
Yep.
And so this is like your core offer, right? So in our case, this is our performance hat, get 10% off in your first buy. Upsell offers, downsell offers, and continuity offers. Upsell offers, get $15 off when you buy 3+ performance hats.
Yep.
Right. And so we can essentially have the same customer acquisition cost
Yeah.
and increase the average order value substantially.
Yep.
And then we have, our downsell offers is anything on sale or, any accessory things that are on a low ticket.
Yep.
And then our continuity offers is all the iterations, all the colorways that we offer. And so when you have all of those 4 elements working together, especially in the context of a direct-to-consumer brand, which I think building a service-based business is difficult, right? Like I don't know, like there's some luxury building a direct-to-consumer brand. I think it's definitely one of the easier ones.
Yep.
Just because you don't have to spend all this time rendering the service and but I mean people have obviously different takes on that. But
For sure.
there are like 15 to 20 products that I've that are unrelated to Trust God Bro that I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like so much potential.
So the
Like,
takeaways there are like deliver high value,
right.
and that there is a multi-level way to market a product, not just
Absolutely.
your one standard way.
Right.
You've got different layers that you can implement.
Yeah. And
So
people
you're never stuck.
Yeah, and people articulate value in 4 factors, right?
Okay.
So the dream outcome.
Yep.
So can they see that being evident by
Yep.
purchasing your service or product?
Yep.
With the perceived likelihood of achievement
Yep.
over the time that it takes and the effort and sacrifice. And that's kind of like Alex Hormozy's whole
Formula.
way,
This is his whole
formula
scheme.
of articulating value.
Yeah, I like it.
And so even from a messaging standpoint, being able to take that formula and, hat chat, create some language and messaging around that for
Yeah.
ad copy.
Yeah.
Which by the way, like
Does a pretty good job.
man, Wild.
Yeah,
The
that's
stuff,
so good.
AI, and I mean that's a whole other.
Wait, I want to get into, because actually one of
Yeah.
my good friends is in the e-commerce kind of space, just like you.
Yeah.
And he's saying like there is this kind of, I mean, the shift is kind of already starting to happen, but there's this like fear of where e-commerce is going to go now that AI is going to kill Google search. Where you go, like, I don't know about you, like when I'm now searching for stuff, it's usually what's the best blah 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 thing that I'm looking for. What's the best men's fragrance? And then there's a few articles that are backlinking to the website, and then you go search, right? So if I'm looking for, you know, this kind of, you know, athletic performance hat, I'll go what's the best faith-based, you know, and I'll go search. And so e-commerce platforms have mastered SEO. They've figured out how to backlink and get all that. Where are you seeing the space, and kind of like how are you adjusting to the new AI kind of driven world we're in now?
Good question.
Yeah, I think every company finds ways of adopting AI depending on what type of AI that they're implementing, right? And so for us, there's a lot of experimentation that we're having. Currently managing all of our Meta ads right now, and it is wild how Meta has completely changed the infrastructure of their ad setup. So there's a lot of manual features and manual targeting little aspects that are not there anymore. They're in this whole like season of trust us. Like we know, like our algorithm and our AI is going to direct your product to your ideal customer.
Sure.
I'm gonna trust is like, bro. I mean, just
Yeah,
kind of in my mind. I'm like,
You know, and so you can give us some suggestions. But I mean, I even have this whole workflow built out where, you know, even from a creative standpoint, and this is where I think my experiences as an artist and illustrator and all of that is really informing me from an advertising perspective, right?
Yeah, sure.
I think what inspires me is when someone looks at something for the first time, like what kind of impression am I wanting to make?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the artist in me, right? Like the artist in me wants to kind of bring that breathtaking, you know, you scroll and you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like the sense of like, it's familiar but fresh.
Yeah.
It almost feels obvious that it should have been bought by me already. Like
that might be your superpower, because that's your window. You have maybe a second while people are scrolling.
It's insane.
And you got to get that reaction where it's like, well, I haven't seen that before. Let me stop. That might be your superpower.
Like, what are some products on your end, maybe you bought online, or things that like have interested you? I'm just curious, even to ask that.
Like through Instagram ads.
Yeah, the ads in general.
Yeah,
because I've never really bought from an ad, and so it's interesting that I'm, you know, managing them. But
Have you ever bought from an ad?
There's been. You know what I have?
I'm a sucker for it.
Usually around like gift giving season, when you have like holidays, somehow my phone knows. Oh wow, these flowers or this like cute little Valentine's gift.
Oh, you do random stuff.
Yeah. These like they just all pop up at the right time, right when I need it.
I feel like I've curated my feed so much down hunting and bow hunting. I've got arrows, archery, scopes, and I'm just like, man, I'm on this ad. I'm like, okay, I'm clicking the link. I'm ordering.
Okay. But I feel like for those, at least for me personally, don't you want to like research that this is the best?
I'm a researcher.
You're a performance person, right?
So I'm backlogged enough now where I know the stuff that I've got the knowledge base to make purchase. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think there's a learning curve.
Okay.
And now my feed is so curated that it's like dialed in.
Yeah. That's cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
we're
really
your
good.
customers.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And so I have this whole other, you know, like workflow of incorporating AI into my ad creative, and having that, like, I think ChatGPT has like the best image model. Like it's fantastic. Like and I have a trained eye, right? And so we all know what like.
But is it that hard? Like, I mean, I think we give AI so much credit for being like super genius, but or is it that we're just that predictable? Like, are we only 3 or 4 likes away from knowing everything about a rune? Because we're kind of predictable. Your hobbies are very predictable. You know, let's just say you're into pickleball and you know, athletic wear. It's not that hard to create a feed for you that's going to engage you in your likes. But we give AI so much credit. Man, it knows me. Oh, really? I could figure that out too.
Let's double click into that. Why are we so predictable? And I think it's because social media trends, everything controls kind of who we are as people. We see 50 million people doing the same exact trend. Now all of a sudden I'm doing it. So like our characters are all being shaped by the trends that are being pushed down to us, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
maybe that's why.
So if we're going to triple click.
Yeah.
Because we talk about globalization, right? Back in the day, when I was 15, this is way before there was any social media or anything like that. My first trip to the United States, it felt like I went into a different world, from Australia, But now you could be in Australia, you could be in London, you could be anywhere, and someone's like, if you just got plopped there, you'd take you a minute to figure out where am I? What city am I in? Because the globalization makes everything feel so similar. Is the world becoming more and more similar because we're all getting fed the same content? So globalization is happening on such a rapid rate that there isn't that much distinction.
No, I agree.
Right. It's interesting from this side of things as I'm managing our ads, and I'm looking and I'm being a student of the data, and I'm allowing it to inform me about all the decisions that I'm making. It's wild to think that there are people on the other side of these decisions.
So is it easier now to be a trendsetter or harder now to be a trendsetter?
I think it's becoming easier because everyone's starting to do what everyone else is doing. I think the process of creating an iconic product, which I think the process of really finding success in this direct-to-consumer brand space is, right, like you continue to innovate, execute on it so well to the when you find those results and you just continue to iterate, right? It's a process of innovation, iteration, and then execution. And I feel like even when I think about it's hard for me to even think about like a 10-year plan right now because I'm so in the weeds of making this season work and scaling our company at this point in time. Granted, there's so many different factors and it goes into scaling other than paid ads, right? But it's also interesting to see how things are trending and which ads people are responding to the most and which headlines are they responding to the most and being able to invest more into that and continue to see things perform at that rate. So
I'm curious, are you guys seeing trends? Like you were asking, is it easier to become a trendsetter? But I'm wondering if it's because the trend cycles are now shorter than they used to be. Like I feel like before it was like you would catch a trend and it would be
we were dancing the Macarena for years.
Right. Now it's like trend comes and goes like in a week, right? Like you get super viral, everybody's talking about it, and it's dropped. And the next thing comes up.
Yeah, you can miss a trend.
You
can sleep on a trend pretty easily. Yeah, for sure.
So I wonder if it's hard now. It's easier to build a brand, but it's harder to build a long-lasting brand. Because like you might not see the next like Louis Vuitton that's just been there for years, like a brand that's a staple for luxury. But now it's like these brands will all pop up. A lot of small brands are like, oh, this is the next hot thing, and then throw it away, get the next one. Throw it away, get the next one.
Right. People love to copy art direction.
Yes.
People love being able to see like how something is shot.
Everybody's copying everyone,
dude. And so I think what's unique is finding and aggregating ideas that aren't existing in the digital world, like things from magazines, and gathering and allowing that to inform your creative library and all of your taste, your style, your interest, and being able to make those decisions and bring them into whatever product or service that you have to offer. I think that's where you can really stand out and make something unique from a branding perspective. I was taught, and my personal approach to branding comes into 5 key factors. So the first way to establish like a brand strategy, when I talk to other entrepreneurs who are trying to start out, maybe they're launching a product and they're trying to figure out like, how do I stand out? Like, how do I figure out what's me and how do I produce something that's unique? I walk them through, what is your brand promise? What's your offer, right? What is the thing that people can come back and know and recognize, like, I'm going to get every single time I encounter your brand. The second thing is your brand personality. So who you are,
as a brand, personality
like
of it. Makes sense.
even on an individual level, like, are you witty? Are you funny? Are you stoic? The qualities, the characteristics. The third thing is your brand positioning. So in this case, like for us, with our one offer, it's like we're positioned as the alternative to Melon right now, right? The fourth thing is brand associations. So when people see you, who can they draw associations with? All that stuff.
Okay.
Right? Because then they
affiliation.
100%. And the last thing is your brand,
kind of thing.
Your brand story, right? And your brand story is the last one where it's like your challenges, your vision, your mission, what people can rally behind, all of those things. And so I think when anyone's trying to start out with building a brand, a product, whatever that is, I think that simple framework might seem simple, but I think it's powerful when you start to take into account all those different elements. Because your brand's obviously not just your logo, your color palette, and all those things.
I think this all makes sense, definitely from a business model and, a consumer product, right?
Right.
I think it gets weird when it comes into the world of an individual, like a person. Like when you're building your brand,
right?
I think the pastor in me goes into, where's the deficit in you where you want everyone to know you?
Right.
Where you want everyone to see you, where you want to be seen for something or known as something. And why do you want to be known by many? Or why don't you want to just be known by few?
Right.
So that, I think for me, I get a little, my pastoral mind just starts tweaking. I understand it from a consumer product kind of thing. Sure. I mean, I want to provide value to many people, quality, all that kind of stuff. But on an individual level, that's where I kind of get a little flat.
It was initially taught to me as the concept of a leader brand.
Right.
And so when I take it on an individual level like that, like my brand promise as a leader is you're going to dream with me every time that we're together.
Right.
Like I want people to feel like they can dream with me when they hang out.
Got you.
And then I think it just kind of starts to, divvy up based on those other 5, elements there.
I love that.
But that's like my thing.
Well, that's a healthy breakdown for people who are building a product to approach it from those 5 key components.
And like I've always thought too, as a leader, I thought like your brand promise is important because you can get it done. But if people don't like working with you from a personality standpoint,
forget about it.
They don't want
what
you have to offer, right? And so when I think about it on an individual level, I'm like, oh, like my personality, I want to be very connective, easygoing, personable, while I'm able to do a great job. Have the right associations, and have a story that people will connect with me about.
Yeah. So. When you guys both talk about, like you were talking about personal branding, you're direct to consumer, all of this seems like community building, right? Like you're doing all of this to do community building, right? I feel like, I feel like everything you're doing is, if you create a brand, but it's for the person to then create that association with the brand, to then be in association with other people that have the brand, to be in community, right? Like,
I think with the consumer product, you're building a community for both sales, so it's a bit of a leverage community, but at the same time, identifying I'm part of this community. So if I'm wearing the brand that JP created, I want to associate with that community of people who also rep that brand. I think on the individual level, how authentic is the community if I'm just a number in a huge cog, right? If I'm just following a personality, right. That's where it gets confusing for me.
I wonder if it's more like I'm going to use you as a use case. You're leading a church, a global church, and you have a mission, and it's like that is part of your personal brand. Like your mission is to build this church, right? And if people can form a community around that, I want to help Pastor Adam build this thing, and so like your personal brand and you getting that out to the world allows people to see your mission and then join you on that mission. It's kind of what you did on like a non-social scale when you came here and you brought people in individually and built the church. Now it's just on like a global digital scale where now maybe there's some person out in Africa that sees your social media personal brand. It's like, oh, that's a mission I want to get behind.
Yeah, I guess there's a tension, right?
Yeah.
Do you push a brand of you and make everything about you, and so you become the brand, which is limited in its scalability? Or is the brand the community? Is the product the community? Or is the product my content? Or is my content a part of the community as much as your content is, and together there's a content? You see what I'm saying? I think it's always got a limited effect when it becomes around a celebrity that you're pushing as the representation of that community, because the community's got to be much wider and deeper than that personality. Like as much as I could make my personal brand the representation of Vive Church, it's going to do a poor representation of the magnificence of Vive Church, because I'm not that impressive. And so what it has to do is, how do I just play a part in the personality of Vive Church, not be the personality of Vive Church?
And I think that makes the community breathe, and then
I think so.
It just opens up.
I think so.
That freedom of expression.
Because I've seen it. We see in the church world specifically, the creative direction for some churches is we're going to promote our pastor. Our pastor is going to be the celebrity, and we're here because of this person, and this person is on every post. They're everything. They're they get more mention than God. And then we take the other approach, which I think is the Vive Church approach, and let's just make me a piece of it. I mean, it is a piece, okay, because there is a position and a leadership, but it's just a piece of many parts that is such wider and deeper. I don't know. I just feel like that is more sustainable and not suffocating.
I will tell you guys from like the crypto space, kind of like community building there and how we see it, and what we've seen work. And it is people need somebody to follow. Like they need a figurehead to follow. They can't. A brand is, you can kind of get behind it, but if there's not a person behind the brand that you can kind of relate to, it's hard to really follow and join that community. And what we've seen is once, and I'll take our company, but once one of our founders became almost that face socially to be the one to speak out and engage with the community and all that kind of stuff, we saw our community grow around him. And now we have 5 co-founders, and he is like the face of our community. And so that's when we saw a shift and a dynamic shift. And I feel like that happens in most of like the major L1s out there. Like you have like Vitalik, Ethereum, like totally for Solana. Like you have a person that people can kind of get behind. And I don't know, I think it's like, I understand the tension in the church space because you don't want that celebrity pastor that can kind of take away from what you're really trying to promote, which is God. But it's interesting if there is a way to kind of thread that properly through where you can give, because what people here are looking for is just like a physical human that we can kind of
Well, I think the question you've got to come down is, what's the product? What's the product of the church? And when we look at Trust God Bro, the product's pretty simple. There's a 3-part. I think you said social, apparel, and music, something, right? You can define those products. When it comes to something like the church, what is the product? Is the product the content? And I think most churches think it's the content. It's not the content. I think the product is the community. The community is the product. It's hard to measure as much as content, but you got to create the community and offer the community and find a way to go deeper into the community. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of people, and this, I'm not mentioning any church right now. But there's people who go to church with pretty crappy content, crappy preaching, crappy music, and you're like, why are you there? Oh, my community, my friends are here. At the same time, there's churches with probably great worship, but crappy community, and they're only online. We know them because they're online, but they've had to go online and do music tours and that because they can't build a community. So their only option is to become an online product around a celebrity. But what happens when that celebrity dies? Or ages out or whatever? Everything dies with it. But maybe the sustainability of a community lives beyond a figurehead.
It's interesting to see in my personal, in my experience and ministry experience, being around a community has informed me what an online community should look like as well. You know, and that's where I think we're headed to in all these social media platforms. I think people who start out their content creation just purely entertaining people aren't the ones to really come away with those benefits because they're not building community. They're just building up an act. And so being able to foster a sense of community, I think closed communities are becoming much more valuable. Things that don't necessarily have a feed, you know, where people can interact with on a more intimate level. Being able to create community online is going to be, it's already here, you know, it's extremely valuable.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like we could keep talking about this for a long time, but I wanted to just point out one thing that I've heard you say before, like, you know, you've spoken to people, you actually want to bring out leaders. Like that is one of your callings, one of your missions. And you say that it's not just by listening to these kind of podcasts and do it, you have to go out and experience and do things. Like, what is one piece of advice that you would want to like leave our audience, you know, Hype Network and, you know, the people that be listening to this? What is one piece of advice you want
the millions of people that are listening?
The millions.
Come on.
3 million, 3.9 I think today. 3.9.
I think there are several things. I think from a faith perspective, whatever the Lord is asking you to build, whatever ideas that you have going on, like, do everything you can. Be relentless with building up the material around that inspiration. Do everything you can to organize all the different pieces that are going to build out that vision. I think about those times in ministry or even now, like I value ideas so much more because I have the experience of building them out.
Yeah.
And I've seen, even from a financial perspective, all of the results that can come from that. And I'm like, man, that lived in my brain.
Yeah.
And now people are getting to experience what I created on a national level.
That's amazing.
And so I tend to take those ideas seriously and pause and really flush them out. Because if I wait on them for too long, I start to realize it's harder to move in faith.
That's true.
You start to second guess, that you're not on fire anymore. It's kind of cooled down, and you start to, ask yourself, like, or where did this idea come from? So I always take a moment to pause, even if it's in my notes app, to write down all the ideas. And I know there are so many different business opportunities and ideas that I'm being inspired of because I'm trying to expand my skill set beyond creative production, more into paid advertising. But I'm putting those on the shelf because I don't want to, distract myself so much, right? Like I'm just kind of putting these things on the shelf.
Yeah.
And so, I would encourage anyone to do that. And I think there are dreams that feel like, I think in my personal life, I feel like there have been dreams that I thought have died. And what I've realized from being in ministry to now being an entrepreneur is some dreams don't die. You just become better postured in certain seasons to activate them.
True.
Because you got the wisdom.
That's a good takeaway.
You got the relationships.
I like that.
You got the experience. You got the education. And now you're better prepared to advance those ideas and put them into motion. And so I've come to see that as a reality year after year. And so it's just very encouraging because the Lord knows what's on your heart. Like I know and can confidently say that my talent per se wasn't necessarily painting. It was this ability to bring and birth something into reality. So whether that's like a business or whether that's through other creative skill sets,
different mediums.
Different mediums. Pushing outside my comfort zone to realize that was crucial. I mean, there's all these other like faith leadership axioms and stuff that I have and stuff like that. But I mean, those are some of the things that I can just kind of list off. And stuff So.
No, I thought that was best way to end it, honestly.
So
I really appreciate you coming on, Josh.
Love having JP here.
That was
it was really good.
Captivating conversation. Like honestly, like he was hearing about it. I know for us building this brand as well with Hype and like the podcast as well, a lot of useful advice. And so I think we're gonna be catching up after this. Just pick your brain. So if this is your first time listening to the Hype podcast, please share it. Share the brand of Hype, because this is how we're going to grow it.
Arun wants to be known.
I want to. My personal brand is cut off. We're going to put the parent.
He wants
to
build a community, guys.
But please share it, and like if you want to join the Hype Network, all the descriptions, everything you want to know is in the description below.
Yes.
And we'll catch you in the next episode. Cheers, guys.